The Sound of Money with Santosh Sirur.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of my season 2 of 2025. And what a way to begin an episode of 2025. I have a superlative, amazing guest joining in on my podcast, The Sound of Money, a guy whom I know him since my early career days. And I'm so glad to have my guest on this podcast today. First, let me begin with introducing him. He is Mr. Charanjit Attra. I call him Charan. And Charan actually has been a partner with EY. He has had a long stint in finance and accounting space, been with as a COO of Geo, also the CFO of the State Bank of India. And he has had a fantastic career with the ICICI Group, including this as a CFO with ICICI Direct and also as with 3i Infotech and an amazing career and stint with some of the top-notch banks and consulting firms in India. And he's now, as I said, he's a partner with EY. What we're going to talk with Charan is not just about finance and India and the economics of it, but a lot about his own life. So first, as the first episode of The Sound of Money, let's welcome our guest. Hi, Charan, and welcome to The Sound of Money.
Yeah, hi Santosh. Thank you for inviting me. It's always good to speak to you, and I really have fond memories of us working together way back.
Absolutely.
I
Way back
started.
in 2000, yeah. I mean, I think it was all about the US listing of ICICI those days, way back then. An
Yes.
awesome time, slogging all together. So, Charan, the first thing I have in mind, let's keep the economics and the finance and the accounting and the banking world a little bit aside. Let's welcome the year 2025 with something which is a lot more passionate. Of course, you're passionate about finance and the career around it, but you've been into cricket, right? Your passion. So tell us about how is that you got into cricket, and then how did this journey into finance evolve? And I believe it's been a very big inspiration for you as a sport. Maybe you could share.
I'm Santosh. Very few people know about this that I never wanted to pursue a long career in studies or the corporate world. I actually
Uh-huh.
wanted to be a cricketer. I was about 14 years of age when not even 14, I was like the seventh standard, so about 12, when my father took me to Shivaji Park and put me under Ramakant Achrekar, who was one of the known cricket coaches now. Even now, he's a legend. Uh,
Yep.
and he put me there to play sports. So right from seventh standard in my school, I
Ah,
started playing cricket. So as if I tell you, if I meet any of my school friends or college friends, they would know me more as a cricketer than as a person in the corporate world. And interestingly, when I met one of my friends, school friends, after long years, I think about 2010, 11 is when I met him, when I had
uh-huh.
completed school in 1986. I told him, I was the CFO of ICC Securities. He said, what rubbish. You cannot be the CFO. And he actually checked the website to see whether I was really the
Oh
CFO.
my God.
That
Okay.
had the background to cricket. I played a lot. I played basically all the tournaments, in club cricket in Mumbai. I played
Mm,
under 15s and under 19s. We attended various camps, which the Bombay Cricket Association, then which is now Mumbai Cricket Association,
yeah.
I used to organize. I had the honor and some sweet memories of playing with the legends like Sachin, Vinod, Praveen,
Yeah.
and all other students which have come out from that batch of surge students. And interesting. And what I believe, whatever I am today, is because of that 10 years odd that I spent playing cricket. I think a couple of things the game teaches you. And today, even when I talk about, or when I speak to my son Aman, Anishan,
Mm, mm,
lad, I've always insisted on them to pursue a sport, because a
mhm,
sport teaches you many things. For example, even I was a batsman, so even if I was not batting and I was fielding, we normally contribute to the goal of winning as a team. And that showed up when I was working in the bank, though my role was, conventional accounting and preparation of the balance sheet and financial statements and MIS and all those stuff. But when we got into meetings of approving a product or a process, or saying, I naturally used to contribute my ideas. It was not a special effort that I needed to give. I thought
mm,
always that I was a part of the team, and as a part of a team, I need to, you know, collaborate. I need to give in my input. I need to listen to what.
Yeah.
So, the game teaches you also one thing, that if you have taken a decision, maybe not
Mm,
what you had suggested, but then you
mm,
accept a decision which a team takes and you move in as a team. So that team culture of,
yeah.
getting into a team comes to you naturally if you're paid any sport, any team sport, for example.
Yeah.
The other thing which, the game teaches you is exactly how to accept defeat and then bounce back.
Mm,
I
yeah.
believe that this is the, point I need to give to the younger generations, that, you may in your career have defeats, have failures, but you need to accept defeat, learn from it, and bounce back. Just
Correct.
cannot, take down defeat and be demotivated, demoralized, and be away from it. And I've
Yeah.
seen cases here where people, where young generation today is really getting demotivated very, very fast. So
True.
I think a sport at an early age really helps you to build that up, helps you to understand that there is competition.
Agree.
There will always be somebody who is, whom you don't know, but he's practicing and he will be better than you one day. So how do you keep yourself always updated to, be aware of that there's somebody who's going to come and, be always better than you. So I think sport has played a lot in my career, my openness, my talking, and the way I approached various subjects in this world. So whatever I am today, I think I would give, I mean, I always believe one is a sport which build up.
Yeah. Mm,
Uh, and the second credit I would always give to my family, who has been
mm,
always supportive. My father, who actually taught me to be hardworking and honest all the times.
true.
And obviously, for all of us, for our family, we always believe that ICICI Bank was the institute where,
Yeah.
we built our foundation. So
Absolutely.
that's where the career started from, and then.
Absolutely. Can't agree more when you mentioned about ICICI. But this transition where, as you also say, your own colleagues, your own friends couldn't believe that you moved into finance space. They always thought of you that you would be a cricketer one day, right? But that mental transition from a passion or a sport that into a finance, and I'm sure it's the chartered accountancy that probably brought you into this space. How was that transition? And do you continue to keep up with this passion? How does both, go along together?
So let me first talk about how this transition happened, and then how do I keep myself now updated with the sport.
Yeah.
Uh, Interestingly, I got an exact 60% in my TY become, which
Okay.
was like again something which nobody expected me to get, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that time, it was very clear with the likes of Sachin, Vinod, Praveen, everybody coming in playing for Mumbai. The
Mm,
chances of the batsman, the chance in the batting lineup were not there. So it never end up playing the Ranji Trophy or going ahead. So there was
mm,
a big question what to do. And, people, my friends, my age at that time, we were what, about 20 years old. And, all of us
yeah.
within 19 to 21. We used to
Yeah.
meet every evening, So we met, and someone told me that, uh, see, you've got 60%, and is 60%, Hannah, so you can definitely clear CA Inter, if not CA
Ah,
final.
okay.
And if you
Okay.
clear CA Inter, you will get salary of 4,000 rupees.
Okay. The incentivize was given there.
I said, wow, and that day, those times for us, 4,000 rupees
Big,
was
big number,
amazing.
right?
I
Yeah.
imagine 91 May, 4,000 rupees salary was
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And they said, brilliant, we should do it. And then I came home and I discussed this with my parents, and they said, okay, there's somebody who's doing CA within in the place where we stayed. So they called her up and they said, okay, go to some company. And suddenly the office was in Churchgate. So
Okay.
that, and I had till then always been in the suburbs. My school was in Santa Cruz. My office was in, my college was in Parla or Juhu area, whatever you call them. My,
Yeah.
at maximum, I would have traveled till Shivaji Park to play cricket. And even, if there were
Yes.
matches on Azad across Maidan, we used to actually go there and come back. So full day there. So it was
Yeah.
never going every day. It was like once in a while. So going to Churchgate, and I said, boss, this is ridiculous. How can you travel every day to
So
Churchgate and
much.
come back?
Yeah.
So, and then again, next day, same meeting with all the guys. They said, and one of the guys said, "Ki boss," and that time, incidentally, this thing, I mean, the internship fees or the articleship fees that we spoke was 225 rupees per month.
हाँ, तो वो भी थोड़ा
वो भी
incentive था.
थोड़ा दिमाग में चल रहा था.
हाँ,
So again, the same batch, same group, we met, and मैं बोला boss, this is the problem. I can't travel every day to Churchgate and come back. This is very difficult. You know, though that age you're young and you know you
yeah,
all these things matter to you. So
true.
then one of my friends who came in said, look, one of my friends doing an article in one of the articleship in one of the firms. You get a Saturday off there. It's in Vile Pale, and you get
हाँ,
300 rupees as stipend, which is 75 rupees more than what you get. I said, done, boss. This is amazing. I will get
absolutely.
to my article. So
Cake and the cream मिल रहा था.
uh, that's how my CA started. And I, without knowing, ended up into a firm where the main partner, Mr. Mukundam Chitle, was the president of the institute. He was a professor in Sydenham College
Uh-huh.
and was supposedly very strict.
Okay.
And actually, I give a lot of credit to that firm, which is called Mukundam Chitle and Company and Chitle Sir, to
हाँ,
have actually trained me to be, you know, more towards a very disciplined person rather than what you saw. So that transition actually
yeah.
happened in that 3 years.
Okay.
One of the days, I think when I gave my CA inter, I cleared the first group. I couldn't clear the second group, and this was the first time I actually suffered a failure in exams. You
Mm.
know, without knowing
Yeah,
CA, में बहुत लोग the paper number of people
yeah,
failing were much higher than the number of people passing. I was
yeah.
very upset, and I went to sir, and I was talking to him that there nothing doing. You call your parents to me. I mean, you know, he was a professor. He said,
Yeah.
call your parents to me. And when I took, obviously, I couldn't take my dad. He was busy in his work, so I took my mom.
Ah,
And he told my mom at that point in time that, and I still remember his words, that, you know, he can do anything that he wants because I've seen him that the entire office is behind him when he's doing this. He has to be just disciplined and do it properly. And I know that
okay.
time he made those comments saying that, you know, he can be, and I still remember those comments and I took that seriously. And, you know, he
Ah,
actually trained us, and he's trained many of us who are doing very well in the industry now. And that is what actually changed me from a very
mm.
raw, undisciplined cricketer, undisciplined from a corporate life
Yeah.
to somebody who then become. I cleared my inter well. I did
Okay.
take 3 years to take inter. I cleared my inter in 2 attempts. But
Okay.
then I was very serious. I said, now I have to take this up. And you know that
Ah,
fight spirit came up. कि अब तो मैं CA final clear करूंगा. So I actually then
ah,
it took 2 attempts because I gave one group, but I cleared my CA final with you know, close to again 60% marks. So
ah.
that is
Fantastic.
somewhere you know how this change happened
Wonderful.
in
Wonderful.
my articles. And then it kept on
Yeah.
from there. Everywhere I learned, you know, and again, somewhere I think if I look at myself, even if I was a young kid, I had this habit of observing people and learning what they do. So even if, you know, there's
Mm.
a fruit person who came home and, you know, used to cut that coconut and give coconut water, I used to observe him how he cuts and, you know, try
Ah,
to learn. If someday I had to cut, how would I do that?
how would you do it? Yeah.
That sort of naturally was there in me, and
Mm.
kept learning throughout. I mean, even today, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of people. The new generation is coming up. The way
Yeah.
they think about things, the way they bring out new things, that is just amazing. Still learning, and I'll continue to be learning always. I think that is where the sports connect comes, because there is nobody
Absolutely.
junior senior. I mean, it's a sport. You're in the game. It's how well you play. Your age, your
Yeah.
experience, that matters. But on
Yeah.
that day, how do you perform is very important. So,
Absolutely. Wonderfully put, Charan. So,
yeah.
Charan, your transition then finally into the banking space, the consulting space, and as a CFO and a very top-notch senior leadership level, what's been the kind of challenges you've seen, be it in SBI, ICICI, 3I, 3I, or even Geo for that matter? Because today's corporate India is a very different canvas altogether. And you also worked in consulting firms. What's been the challenges that the reason I ask you this question, Charan, is today's generation, as you rightly put, they are the Insta generation. They expect Insta success. Failures they haven't come to. In one way, more than ways, it's also because of the social media. And also probably also because of the fact that today's, their parents have struggled, slogged all their life, and there's quite a relatively much better off on their platter. So what would be your key learnings probably that you would love to share with the younger generation today?
So, my learnings over the period is always been on how do you understand your colleagues. See, your
Mm,
colleagues will be different from friends. One has to understand that. Your colleagues might not become friends at some point in time. Some colleagues might become your good friends, some
yeah.
colleagues might not become your big friends, but they will still be colleagues. So
Mm,
it's basically when you're there, when you're working, how much do you care for the people around? Because frankly, your happiness or your
yeah.
success will also depend people think about you rather than what you think about them. The
Mm,
issue
yeah.
sometimes what happens that you think you are 9 out of 10, but others think you're only 5 out of 10. So
Mm,
how do you carry yourself with others to say that even others think you're 8 out of 10?
yeah.
So it's very important at any point in time for everybody to do a SWOT analysis of your own self. What are the strengths that you possess?
Mm,
What are your weaknesses? And basically you may not be able to sort of eliminate your weaknesses because some things are natural,
yeah.
but strengths you could sharpen it to become more sharper. Like
Mm,
I can give you clearly one example that I started off being a very shy person, but then when I got into the corporate world and the sort of jobs I did, I became a really short tempered, or maybe I sometimes used to be very harsh to people, very in my discussions
mm,
and all. I soon realized that,
mm,
sometimes I speak a little bit louder. My personality is a loud personality. Now suddenly I can't change my
mm,
loud personality into a soft personality, right? So I was a loud
yeah.
personality. I'm a loud person. So what do I do? So when I started interacting with people, I in a way made them aware, look, I look like a warm, loud personality. But at times I might
Mm,
be a little bit louder. But then after
mm,
say that phase is over, I used to go back and, even if I had to
yeah.
say sorry, I would say sorry to a person who was junior to me, but ensure that, I've maintained that and, I've done right for what I have done wrong. And I didn't repeat that going
Yeah.
forward. So, it's very
Mm,
important
mm,
to understand how you deal with people and how are you able to restrict or control your weaknesses that you have. First,
yeah.
identification of weaknesses. And then I really worked on my strengths or what my job needed, what my
Mm,
boss needed, what my company or the bank needed me to do, and what is good for the bank.
mm,
I used to talk
yeah.
that, so there is no alternative to hard work.
Mm,
So you have to work on your strengths. You have to get what you get there. But in addition, you should be aware of your environment around you, the people around you. Don't hate people.
yeah.
Don't let people develop hatred for you. Maintain good relationships with people. You may have
Yeah.
a weakness, make them aware that improving and working. And that's why I call this term colleagues. Colleagues do
Mm,
understand,
yeah.
and
Wonderful.
people support
Wonderful.
each other. And I'm really lucky and blessed enough to know that all the people who have worked with me, and I would say not all, but a majority of the people who have worked with me, I'm still in touch with, I'm still friends with. So,
Great. Super.
in
Yeah.
spite of me
Yeah.
being the shouting, shriekiest of all the most, the loudest of the most,
Yeah.
but I'm
True.
still
True.
friends with all of them. I still sort of ensure that I meet them whenever I have time. And I have found a good way of doing it nowadays is for meeting early for breakfast. So,
Wonderful.
about 8:39, call them for breakfast so that they have their day free. I have their day free to do. Meet them for
True.
15, 20 minutes, half an hour for a coffee somewhere, and then,
Yeah.
come to your offices. So that really helps. So, to
Absolutely.
that extent,
You have
this
worked with some of the. Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
is
Sorry. Carry on.
this is across. I mean, across whatever I did. My
Mm,
strengths were accounting and finance, which I used when I was in the consulting side, which I used when I was working for the corporate side. I didn't change myself. It was
yeah.
me, my relationships, my
Mm,
connections. So I had the strengths, and I could use that strength to my this thing. And the two principles which comes from my father, my family is honesty and hard work that I've never left. And there is no
wonderful.
alternative
Yeah.
to these two things
Yeah.
that you. So I think that's
Absolutely.
what kept me going in. both on both
Yeah.
the sides of the table.
Yeah, wonderful. So, Charan, you've seen the banking, the finance space, from a very different lens as a CFO, and as we all know, finance is probably the edifice, the backbone of any organization, for that matter, the entire country. And you've worked with ICICI Group, you've worked with State Bank, and of course with Geo, and also with amazing consultancy firms where you come across a lot of clients. Where do you see the India's from your lens? Where do you see the India in the next phase of life in terms of the growth story that we've been talking about?
I think there are a lot of discussion on the fantastic growth that we are expecting in the country. If you really ask me, we are going to double every 5 years. If you simply
Mm.
look at our GDP and add the normal inflation to it, you look at it at 12.5, 13% growth every year, which could be, doubling in every 5 years, 6 years. So there is potential, very, very potential growth which is coming in the country. And if our country is going to grow at that speed, it is very important for banks and finance and institutes across, not only in the financial services industry. So you look at how they are going to cater to the customer requirements 5 years down the line and start preparing for it today and not
Yeah,
wait till it's going to happen. So that's one thing which I believe is very important. Saying that how you, because the customer is going to get more demanding with the new use of technology which is coming in. The technology
mm,
is changing rapidly, improving very fast. I mean, I can tell you in our lives,
yeah,
2000 when we met, right? How many of us had mobiles, and how many of us used mobiles except for calling up twice a
yeah,
day, calling up your
yeah.
wife saying, okay, I'm leaving from office, and the next caller, the cab will
Correct.
stop.
That too at a 16 rupees per minute. Imagine
Correct. Correct.
those days.
So,
Yeah,
from those days to today, your mobile number becoming your identity. I think some days we will call each other by numbers, not by names, because everything
yeah,
is getting
yeah,
so, restricted to
yeah,
number. So that is
yeah.
a change in technology. Today, if you don't have a mobile in your with you, you always feel that, you're like out of touch. You feel that
True.
something is missing with you. So,
Yeah,
that technology is going to change more, and we don't know where this technology is going to end with sort of AI and Gen AI product solutions which are there in the market. It's just amazing how fast it is growing. And there's so many
absolutely.
that you can use this for your better this thing. So customers are going to get demanding.
Mm,
Also, one will have to look at the internally. I think the entire BFSI has to look internally to see how can they make the lives of the employees and the staff which they're working with less complex and more happier,
yeah,
and so that they think more about customer service, consumer service, and
yeah.
consumers become happy. So if your employees and consumers are happy, and I
Mm.
know this is a service industry, so this will grow, and this can happen through a very proper and extensive use of technology is what I believe very, very strongly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One last question before I let you go. You've been in cricket since your childhood and then into this corporate space. I'm sure you had an amazing opportunity to work with a lot of mentors who've been mentored you not just in your finance but even in your sports. Who
Yeah.
are those two key people who have mentored you, and what's been the learning from them?
So obviously, for every son, his father is the first mentor. So I would say a lot of things which have been coming naturally to me. So I would, say my father has been my first mentor. And
Mm.
even today, if I have to take a decision of anything, I go back to him. And I
Ah,
would definitely say a lot of mentoring was done. As I said, my transition from a sports guy to somebody who can pursue academics was done by in my first firm which I worked. And obviously, I learned a lot from the senior management team at ICICI Bank. So learning has been throughout.
yeah.
Even for example, there were many seniors at SBI, which where I learned from, and I really picked up a lot of things from them. But there are some people who are very good friends who have lived with me for
Mm.
so long, and I would put NS Kanan or Rakesh Jha as two of. They've
Yeah.
not just been mentors, but they've been family friends, and they
True.
know me. Sometimes I think they know me better than me. So,
Wonderful. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
if I'm ever stuck in a decision, I won't think twice before calling them up
Yeah,
and
yeah.
taking some advice from them. So,
Wonderful.
I mean, but
Are
they're
you still
also
in touch with
friends. And
Sachin?
sorry.
Are you still in touch with Sachin? Any interactions over the years?
No, no, no. There has been interactions over the past year. I have met him at the MCA, and recently also I met him somewhere. So we keep meeting, bumping into each other once a while. I still remember, and I need to share this if you have some time,
Sure.
that I met him on an aircraft when somewhere around 2006 or 7. I don't remember the date. And we bumped into each other after many years, and I was, a little bit skeptical whether he would recognize me or not. Fortunately, he did, and
Uh-huh.
we spent a good 1.5 hours on the flight. We were going to Calcutta from Mumbai. And incidentally, I still remember asking, and I felt so embarrassed at that point in time asking this question. And I asked him, "Why are you going to Calcutta?" And he just replied, "Test match versus Australia." So,
Okay.
it was like, but the other boss, sorry, I should have known this that there's a test match coming up at Calcutta.
Yeah,
Indian team is playing, but yeah, but not in touch with him per se.
yeah.
But
Mm.
we have a common group of friends which I'm in touch with. So whenever
Uh-huh.
there is, he planned, I think, a couple of years back, the 75th birthday of a coach. So we met him there.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes
Recently, yeah.
keep on happening. We keep on bumping. Otherwise, not in that regular touch. But
One
yes,
of, yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. 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 Charanjit Attra, I will now also say a very passionate and one who pursued his passion of cricket. Also now a partner with EY, and if you've been recently joined EY, so bestest wishes to you. Thank you so much for joining on my podcast, The Sound of Money, Charan.
Thank you, Santosh. It's always great to be speaking to you.
And yes, with that, we come to the end of this episode, this first episode of 2025 with a wonderful guest joining in from Mumbai, Mr. Charanjit Attra. Thank you so much for being on this podcast all along, and well, looking forward to a wonderful 2025 with you guys with some amazing guests lined up all through this year. Thank you once again. Bye and take care.